Yeah. So good morning, one and all. I'm very happy to meet you virtually, after a long time, and wishing you all a very happy Ashadi Ekadashi. And please enjoy your Sunday. And before we start, I would like to, talk about importance of labeling in pharma industry. And rather, I would keep asking few questions to you guys so that you would answer. So, how many of you have worked in the pharma industry and handled the labeling part? Okay, because see, in everyone's life, in everyone's career, we have seen the label, right? In our day-to-day life also, if you see, in day-to-day life, you are taking the medicine, correct? So whenever you are sick, you are taking the medicine. And while taking the medicine, right, what do you look into? The first thing you go through the label, right? Go through the label. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Right? So when you go through the label, what do you see? What exactly you see? Tell me.
Ma'am, first see the generic name of this product.
Okay.
And if that is, madam, domestic art means products supply purpose, then the brand names, whatever the prescribed in the prescriptions by doctor. So this brand name also, maximum people don't know about this brand name and generic name also, because they are not the pharma related persons. So
Okay.
as per this, mention the prescription. If any doctor mention this, as an example, I'm told you, madam.
Yeah, yeah.
Is Calpol. Calpol one brand name, or Dolo 650, like that. Just they have seen the Dolo 650 only. They're not seeing the what the composition is there, like paracetamol. And there's zero dolp one brand name is there. In zero dolp there is two combination is there, paracetamol and aceclofenac also.
Okay.
These combinations also there. So both are working good, but that is depend upon choice.
Yeah. Good, good. You tried your best. Anyone else would like to add what Rupam has explained?
Yeah, as a layman, we can say first I would look for name, what doctor has prescribed and what pharmacist is giving us. Secondly, I'll check the expiry and manufacturing date. And as a pharmacist and uh, working in industry, then I would check everything: brand name, generic name, company,
Right.
everything. Yeah.
Perfect. So whenever you are going to buy the medicine is available in different packs. Am I right? So sometimes you get the blister pack like this. You can see.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah. Then you get the aluminum pack for the blister and aluminum. Am I right?
Yeah, ma'am. Yes,
So
ma'am.
you get the varieties of pack. Then this is what is this called?
HDP container, madam.
TP
HDP
container.
jar. So
HDP.
you get varieties of the packing and the varieties of labeling also. If you see,
Yes.
the labels are also, printed on the back side of each medicine.
जा
Correct?
तिकडे जा तिकडे ऐकायला येत मला.
Can you, Kishore, can you keep yourself on mute? Yeah. So, like this, there are varieties of packs available in the market, and varieties of labels are also available. But see, when we buy any medicine, since we are working in pharma industry, we are aware of, what information, what kind of information we have to look into. Like Rushali said, or Rupam said, first we see the brand name like Calpol or Dolo 650 or any other name. The brand name is very popular. Okay. Instead of that, the generic name has also to be very popular, in fact, because a generic name specifies what kind of ingredient it includes, right? Suppose Dolo 650, Dolo comprises of what? Paracetamol. 650 is the strength, correct? So like Rose Day, Rose 50, what it contains? Rose Day. Now I will show you this fact, correct? But it contains of rosuvastatin tablet IP 10 mg. So when the doctor prescribes with the brand name. So that is why there was a circular, in between that doctor should be aware of the generic name also. Okay. So apart from that, we have to look into batch number, we have to look into the expiry and the manufacturing date and the storage. The storage and the precautionary measures. Suppose if after consumption of medicine, if you get some kind of adverse event, adverse reactions or headache, drowsiness, whatever, if it is mentioned, that we have to see into. Then the dosage, generally see dosage is generally they write as directed by the physician, and physician, the doctor prescribes us, 2 tablets per day or 1 tablet thrice a day, like that. And storage, as I say, protect from the light and moisture, that is equally important. And the contraindication and all the precautionary measure, but we have to take into. Apart from that, what do you see? The formula, correct? So each film coated tablet contains rosuvastatin IP. So what signifies IP, BP, USP, or something like that? What is it?
IP is the Indian Pharmacopoeia, ma'am.
Correct.
Pharmacopoeia status.
Exactly. So what is the pharmacopoeia status? The ingredient or the excipient used in that formulation is of what? Official in IP, BP, or USP. Okay. So apart from that, sometimes people says excipient QS. QS means what?
Quantity sufficient, ma'am.
Quantity sufficient, right? So they don't like to mention all the excipient, because see, 1 tablet comprises of 10 excipients, sometimes 2, 5. So they cannot include all the excipients, right? And some confidentiality also we have to keep. If we disclose everything, then if anyone can copy and paste and make the same formulation. Okay, so some intellectual property rights, like confidential information, they can keep it confidential, but the main active ingredient and dosage form, storage, batch number, expiry, everything has to mention. That is the mandatory requirement, correct? So we have covered everything, and you have seen the label, because everyone in their life takes the medicine, for any reason, if even if now during COVID, you must have seen lots of medicines were prescribed along with the multivitamins. So it was mandatory to take the medicine, at least the Zincovit, Lim C, vitamin C along with the vaccination. So that kind of prescriptions, were floating during pandemic also. So now I will just walk through the presentation which I have prepared for you guys. And if you have any question, please park your question and we'll continue with. I have included, the labeling requirement in India, USA, and Europe, because that's what different students were looking forward to, have lecture for this topic. And that is why I brought the information from all the internet sources, which was freely available, and the source is acknowledged. Okay. So as I said, labeling is very, very important. And what is labeling is a written, printed, or graphic matter upon any drugs or any of its container or accompanying such a drug, right? And drug label seeks to identify drug content and to state specific instructions or warnings for administration, storage, and disposal. Correct. So we have seen how the information is the printed on each label. So making labeling a priority. Why it has become a priority? Because see, when the children are born, why you keep the name of the child? Because it identifies, this name belongs to Mahesh or Shefali or whatever, along with your surname. So the identity is extremely important. Okay, in medical devices also, if you see unit device identification, that is called UDI, and in our pharma industry also, the identification of any product is extremely important, and that is why a labeling process becomes sometimes critical, because along with track and trace system, it becomes sometimes difficult when it goes through several changes during the product life cycle management. Okay, so meeting all the compliance and maintaining those compliance, you have to keep in mind that the labeling process, what exactly is the labeling process, how it starts from this stage and how it ends. There is never end, okay, because we have to maintain the life cycle management of any product. Because see, the product like calcium sandose or any other product which exists like 50, 60, 70 years in this market, so the drug or the medicine has to go several changes, right, to maintain their this product into market and maintain all the reaction or all the adverse effect or the adverse event happening after consumption of this product. And that is why to meet the what you say, the rules and requirement, the regulatory requirement, you have to maintain the compliance, correct? So label act as a unique identifier to prove authenticity to healthcare professional, and label ensures that active ingredients and the concentrations are clearly understood. You might have seen in Europe, the outer label contains, the braille language, because they give so much importance to the blind and other kind of people, but all people, the human being is treated same. Because if a blind cannot read the label which is printed in English, but for them the braille is very important, correct? So that they can read by touching the hands, correct? So that's how label ensures what, the active ingredient and the concentration are clearly understood. So everyone should understood what is written on the label. Then the GMP aims to minimize any risk associated with the incorrect labeling. Correct. So label always give the benefits to the customer, the official product name, active and inactive ingredients with the quantity, then use, warnings, and the allergic reactions. And labeling is beneficial for medical practitioners and the patients. Correct. So labeling is regulated or approved by regulatory authorities and should have 100% compliance with authority rules and regulation. This we have discussed. Now, during pandemic, you must have seen lots of manufacturers entered into manufacturing of vaccines, correct? Because the coronavirus pandemic has put a strain on this global economy, correct? So businesses, small and large, are struggling from the immense fallout. So due to increased manufacturing, while big pharma companies are racing to make the vaccine available to everyone, a lot of small pharmaceutical companies grew in US, Canada, and other regions too, to keep up with the increased medical requirement. And then the increased use of digital tools, and because of increasing demand in medicine vaccines, so pharmaceutical industries across the world have accelerated their manufacturing processes by using digital tools, correct? Because without digitalization, how can you manufacture fast, and the drug cannot reach to the end user, the patient, correct? And that is why digital tools were mandatory. So companies are now increasingly relying on the digital tools to navigate through this global crisis, and projects like labeling, design, and approval now heavily rely on the software platform that allows stakeholders to collaborate and make the product available to the market. Then there are lots of automation, right? Automated labeling came into picture. So the pandemic has increased the need for clinical trials. Labeling for clinical trials has different regulations and requirements. Then the manufacturers are adopting automated labeling software for clinical trials to make it easier to administer and track new and experimental drugs. Okay. So now we are going to discuss about the India, US and EMA, that is European rules for the labeling and the marketing requirement of the medicine. Okay. In India, as you know, Rule 96 1D is applicable and we follow Schedule M, right? So in India, the labeling is an important consideration for exporting. Okay. So English is again the preferred language. As you know, English is what? The preferred language everybody is aware of. Am I right? And Indian custom is strict and ensures that imported items include the legally required labeling information. Correct? So according to our Ministry of Commerce, all pre-packaged commodities intended for direct retail sales imported into India must carry at least name and address of the importer and generic or the common name of the commodity. Then net quantity, it should be, all units of weight and measurement must be in metric. Okay. You must have seen milligram, and if it is at all, it is in gram per ml or something like that. And if the net quantity of the imported packages is given in any other unit, its equivalent of standard units must be declared by the importer. Okay. So vitamin D3 and all, how we give the metric system, IU, right? International units. So we have to mention the equivalent standard units which have to be declared on the label. Then month and year of the packing, that is also mandatory. MRP, correct? And MRP includes all taxes, local or otherwise freight transport charges, commission payable to dealers, and charges for advertising, delivery, packing, forwarding, and any other relevant charges. Okay. And we have to note that if pre-packaged food product meant for institutional use, okay, for research purpose or institutional use, should specify not for retail sale. Okay, that declaration should be there on the label. And the pre-packaged commodities such as raw materials, components, bulk imports that undergo further processing before sale to end consumers are not included under this labeling requirement. Okay. Then you must have heard under FSSI how it works, the labeling requirement, how it happens. FSSI is nothing but our Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. It was established, this standard, in 2006 as a statutory body for regulating and manufacturing, processing, distributing and sales, distribution, sales and import of foods product, as well as its labeling and packaging requirements. Okay, so under this, the label should contain name, trade name or description, name of ingredient used in the product in descending order of their composition by weight or volume. Okay, name and complete address of manufacturer or packer or importer and the country of origin of imported food. If the food article is manufactured outside of India but packed in India. Okay, sometimes it happens, no, we get manufacturing done outside India like US, Europe or any other country, but packaging could be done in India and then it is sold into India. So again, apart from these three items, then you have to mention the net weight, number, volume of content, distinctive batch, lot or code number, month and year of manufacture and packaging, month and year by which the product is best consumed. You must have seen it, it's written, no? Consumed before this, before that, and the milk and the other items, some items has to be consumed within 24 hours or something like that. So you have to mention as per the food ingredients, the shelf life of that particular. Even if you buy a bread, right? So bread also, they give generally 3 to 4 days of expiry. Okay, consume within this 3 days or 4 days. So month and year by which the product is best consumed is extremely important when we talk about food products. Then the maximum retail price, MRP. Whenever applicable, the product label also must contain the following information like the purpose of irradiation and license number in case of irradiated food. Okay, and the extraneous addition of coloring material. So as I said, labeling is done as per section 96 1 in drugs and cosmetic rules 1945. So you must be aware of the Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940 and the rule 1945, in which you have to see through the section 96 for labeling. So in this the information like the indication, effects, dosage form, frequency and duration of administration, warnings, hazards, contraindications, side effects, precaution and other relevant information you will find. And the function of label include what? Identification of product, information regarding ingredients, purpose, use of product, child safety norms, and other information like MRP, batch number, shelf life. Correct. So these are different types of labeling you would see in the market: the manufacturer label and the dispensing label. Correct. So the manufacturer label contains legal requirement as what? Proprietary name, established name, strength or dosage form, quantity, instruction for use, precautions and warnings, manufacturing license number, batch number, manufacturing and expiry date, the name and address of pharmaceutical industry. So 9 items are mandatory, and we have seen, right, in the beginning, I have shown you the label, how it looks like. So these 9 items you would see, but each item's meaning, if you see, I'm going to share this presentation, but try to understand what is the meaning of those 9 items mentioned under this labeling requirement, the legal requirement. Okay. The proprietary name is what? The exclusive name of a drug substance or the drug product owned by a company under trademark law. Established name, the designated FDA official name or the compendial name. And the compendial name is what? The name of the article, which is what? Official in any pharmacopoeia, whether it is IP, BP, USP. Okay. So this is how the label looks like. Now you can see this is the brand name, this is the generic name, this is the strength, and this is the dosage form, and this is the caution given. Correct? So we have seen this on the actual label. Then the manufacturing license, correct? You can see the batch number, manufacturing date, expiry date, manufacturing license. The quantity, correct? So how many tablets, okay, the quantity or the volume present per packaging unit, correct? Sometimes you have the blister of 10 units, 20 units, 15 units. So depends on product to product. Then the instruction, precautions and warning for their use. See, shake well before use. Okay, so shake well before storing. You can see the icons which is used, this is the simplified text and this is the standard and this is the icon used. So use only on your skin. You can see, do not stop taking unless directed by your doctor. Take with food or milk. Do not use if you are pregnant. Think you are pregnant or breastfeeding. See the symbol or the icon used. May cause drowsiness. Be careful when driving a car or using machinery. See. Do not drink alcohol. Limit your time in the sun. See. Talk to your doctor before using any OTC, right? Over-the-counter drugs. Okay. So these kind of instruction, precautionary measures or the warnings can be used on the label. Now storage condition, you must have seen the storage, right? Store in a cool place, protect from light, keep out of reach of children. Then store in a cool place, store under 0 degree to 8 degrees, protect from light. That means necessary for light sensitive formulation. Keep out of reach of children means all dispensed medicine should carry this information on label. Correct. Sometimes we can use the CRC cap. What is meant by CRC cap? Child resistant cap. So you have to press. You have to press this lid, and then you rotate and it will be open. So those the kind of lids are called child resistant cap. Okay. Then the batch number is also extremely important from the track and trace. So a designation printed on the label of a drug that identifies the batch and permits the access to production history of the batch, including all stages of manufacture and control, which can be traced or reviewed as and when required. So this batch number, manufacturing date is extremely important during track and trace system. So when the recall happens, if the drug is banned or if it found faulty and FDA has called for the recall, then during that time this batch number, manufacturing date and everything becomes important. And that is why nowadays you must have heard about serialization, barcoding. All these automation came into public because of the recall and the track and trace system, and it has become mandatory, and lots of automation is happening in the industry because of the cases, because see, once the patient has died or the patient has some heart attack or any kind of history, we found after the consumption of drug, it becomes nightmare to recall the batch in the market, because any company would like to sell their product across world, like they have south, east, north, west zone. So suppose if that particular batch has given some problem, adverse event happened, and that was filed in regulatory bodies. You must have heard about the pharmacovigilance. These people work 24 hours in three shifts, right? So all the adverse event and all adverse reactions are captured, and that is how those kind of uh, you know uh, cases we have to handle it very carefully and urgently. And in that case, this track and trace system is very helpful. Okay, very helpful. Now we take just 2 minutes break. Huh? So labeling requirement as per US FDA we will discuss now. And US is highly regulated market, and we have seen all the filing like ANDA, PLA, IND, NDA, and CTD format, and there is a requirement, given in module 1, about the labeling. So making US FDA compliant pharmaceutical label is tricky and meticulous. Correct? Very tricky and meticulous process. A minor mistake can result in a grave consequences, because such mistakes are public health risk. Am I right? Such, correct? So you can see the 22% of detentions in the US take place because of labeling mistakes. And all human prescription or drugs and biological products should follow 21 CFR 201 56D and 57. As we follow 21 CFR Part 11 for the electronic submission, electronic record, 21 CFR 201.56D is used for label. Okay, it includes how manufacturers should format the labels what information to highlight, and so on. Now you can see the previous format as per US FDA, what we used to give, the brand name under which the chemical name, description, clinical pharmacology, indication and usage, contraindications, warnings, precautions, adverse reactions, overdosage, dosage and administration, and how supplied, right? And if you see the revised format, okay, as per US FDA, you can see lots of information we have to include nowadays. Am I right? So highlights of the prescribing information, half page. You can see the brand name, initial approval date, indication and usage, dosage and administration, dosage forms and strength, contraindication, warnings, adverse reaction, drug interactions, revision date, the label, because lots of revision takes place after we submit. During the first submission, that is tetra 0, okay, the label would be different because you have to give the comparison of innovator and your test product. The side by side comparison we give now. So similarly, when after approval, there are changes taken place in the product label during the life cycle management. So when we used to, like in old days, we used to file the label in by providing this much of information, and now if you see the full, you have to give the highlights about the product, but full prescribing information, the contents approximately half page. So half page, this kind of information will go half page. We have to give this full prescribing information, and the full prescribing information, see the dosage and administration, dosage forms and strength, warning, adverse reaction, drug interaction, overdosage, description, clinical pharmacology, non-clinical pharmacology, clinical studies, references, so many things we have to include. So you can see how meticulously we have to submit the label, because if any mistakes happens, then there will be a labeling deficiency. And that is why you would see all, there is every company, there is a requirement of, the labeling regular person in regulatory affairs. Because this information, it's very important, and the person should have knowledge about the subject, the clinical pharmacology and the chemistry, correct? So clinical, non-clinical pharmacology plus the CMC information, the person who has understanding about these in three areas can become a labeling expert, okay? So in June 2006, the FDA made changes to the pharmaceutical labeling requirement for drugs and biological products. And the goal of this initiative was to reduce the risk in medical product use. The new labeling scheme proposes what information the label will contain and how it will be organized. So the highlights was, the new pharmaceutical labeling will contain a highlight section, a half-page summary of essential information regarding the drug, and the manufacturer also needs to print a limitation statement informing the reader that highlight section contains incomplete information and should read the full prescribing information or FPI. Correct? So you have to give that note, mention the manufacturer. Because see, everything cannot be printed on the label. So this is a half information, and you have to read the full prescribing information, that is FPI. Okay. Then there is a box warning. The label should now include a box warning stating possible adverse drug reaction and other health risks from taking this drug. Right. Then the recent major changes. So you would see they have asked about the revision date. So what are the recent major changes? A new section called recent major changes has been introduced, and this section aims to inform the reader about the changes made in FPI, that is full prescribing information. And this section lists all the sections of the FPI that the manufacturer has recently changed. Okay, so this is how the current requirement as per the US FDA. Now we'll consider one example. For example, if a drug causes an adverse effect by interacting with a new drug introduced in the market. The manufacturer will have to update the pharmaceutical labeling. Okay, so they have to mention this update in the recent major changes section. And furthermore, other sections that have been introduced include patient counseling information and drug interaction. Okay, because if they found that this drug has some adverse effect after interacting with another drug, so they have to meet that, when the complaint arises, they have to make the counseling, with that patient, and how it happens, that so that the counseling information and the drug interaction will be part of that section. Understood? So this is how this FDA working style is about all the label and the label management, label changes. Okay. Then what information, okay, what information is necessary on a pharmaceutical label? You would see now. So the highlights of prescribing information, these highlights do not include all the information needed to use proprietary names safely and effectively. See full prescribing information for proprietary name. So the proprietary name or the non-proprietary name, dosage form, route of administration, controlled substance symbol, initial US approval, warning should be given in the box, correct? Then this recent major change, indication and usage, dosage and administration. So how this pharmaceutical label looks like and how the information is presented, that format is given here, you can see. Okay. Contraindication, indication, warnings, adverse reaction, drug interaction. So the FDA states all the labeling requirement in the Title 21, that is Code of Federal Regulation in Part 201. Okay, so the FDA is extremely strict with these rules and can misbrand drug if manufacturers do not abide by these rules. The regulations for prescription drugs and the OTC drugs also differ. Okay, so the rules and regulations are different for OTC and our prescription drugs. The medicine labeling should also contain a clinical study summary, the storage and handling information, and patient counseling information. For prescription drugs, we have to have the information on primary labeling as well as the packaging insert. And the following are the requirement for the prescription drugs. Okay, so the primary label comprises of statement of identity, like name of the drug, okay, which is different from the marketing name, brand name, net quantity, statement of dosage, okay. Then packaging insert comprises of what? Box warning, indication usage, dosage administration, dosage form and strength, contraindications, warning and precautions, adverse reaction, drug interaction, controlled substance, overdosage, description and ingredients, pharmacology and toxicology. Right? We call it as PIL, right? Patient information leaflet, or the packaging insert, PI. And for OTC product, you can see how the label looks like. So for OTC, the drugs generally do not require a prescription. They mostly do not have packaging insert also. Their labels are usually big enough to enlist all the necessary material. The principal display panel of OTC drugs should have a statement of identity, brand name, company logo, net quantity, and dosage detail. The medicine labeling contains the drug facts section. Okay, drug facts I will show you in the next slide. Drug facts has the particulars regarding the active ingredient, the purpose of the drug, such as pain relief or fever reducer, like that, or antihistaminic. So it also states the specific usage and potential side effects. And this panel also contains details on when to contact the doctor. So this is how the for OTC product drug facts are given. Okay, which comprises of active ingredient in each tablets, right? Then the warning, usage, you can see warning, usage, directions, other information, inactive ingredient. So this is called drug facts. So this is applicable in case of OTC. So we have seen the prescription drug, what kind of information is required as per the FDA laws and regulations on prescription label and the OTC label. Okay. Then breaking down the drug fact table to clarify drug information, the FDA requires that all pharmaceutical product labels include the drug fact table. And this table is modeled after the nutrition facts label found on the food container and contains several pieces of standard information. Okay, so active ingredients, the drug and their amount per dosage. Uses means what medicine is intended to treat. Warning means do not use statement, ask a doctor or pharmacist. When using this product, cover side effects like that, avoid alcoholic drink, may cause drowsiness. Stop and ask a doctor if, stop using if used for the side effect, like that, keep out of outreach of children, out of reach of children. So this kind of warning section is divided into several statements. Then the barcodes. Okay, so barcodes also plays important role in pharmaceutical industry, and some ways in which barcodes enhance functionality, like proof of FDA compliance. So the FDA has NDC number and the barcode for every drug. Okay, so the manufacturers or repackers and labelers use this code to prove that medicine satisfies FDA regulations. The NDC is a 10-digit code with 3 segments, like a labeler code, a product code, and the packaging code. Okay, so the 10 digits are divided into 3 parts, like labeler code, product code, and the packaging code. And makes health data documentation easier. So barcodes make it easier to check for lot numbers, expiration date, and other data digitally. And this can protect patient by preventing adverse events. Adds traceability. Of course, barcode also helps in traceability, which improves the traceability of product. They help to check if the drugs are contaminated or adulterated in any way. The barcodes also allow the FDA to recall products and stop all future production. As I said, when we launch the product, south, east, north, west, then what? It is becomes easy to recall the products, withdraw the product from the market from all zones. If you have proper barcoding system, okay, the track and trace system. And that is why in many company, when we design the quality management system, mock recall SOP is very important. So after every year, you have to really do the mock recall, So how you can track and trace so that you can withdraw all the products which is sold in all areas, all region. Yeah, so mock recall is practice is very good when the actual recall happens from the FDA, so that we have the practice. So practice become culture ultimately. Then choosing appropriate material for labels. FDA does not regulate label material for the pharmaceutical products. So manufacturers commonly use multi-layer labels since they need to fit a lot of text in small area. Ideally, labels that can stand chemical exposure, UV light, and moisture are suitable for such tasks. So laminated sheet labels and the freezer sticker are also widely accepted. Once the labels are ready to use, pharmaceutical companies must store this label in a controlled environment with roles removed only when the product type and label can be cross-verified to ensure product safety. Then controlling label quality. Every label printed should be inspected thoroughly to ensure the information is consistent and accurate. Right? So industry standards must be made for safety and liability reasons, which is why it is important to discuss with your label manufacturer their quality control process. So printing multiple pharmaceutical label, how it happens? The product should be separated to prevent any mix-up or switches. If you are working in GMP, the WHO or the US FDA approved company, you must be adhering to all these norms, correct? So product separation, how the physically they are separated, how the labels are stored under lock and key, how the quarantine area is maintained, you know. So ask your label manufacturer whether the areas around the presses are completely cleared from previous print jobs. This provides less room for any printing errors. Because see, sometimes what happens, one company has 1,000 product range, and if you have given that task to the printing press, there are chances of mix-up, correct? So that is why the printing multiple pharmaceutical labels become again a very tricky job. To avoid this mix-up and switches, they have to have control. The product separation can be physical or spatial or can be completed by performing press runs at different times to avoid the confusion. So it is easy to run that press at different times for different product, correct? To avoid this mix-up. Then the proper control of storage, an important consideration, proper storage control is necessary to prevent any mix-up switches when dealing with label printed, correct? So all these things are very generic, and I think we must save our time to discuss about European level now. So there are lots of things happening for the content harmonization, so all the companies must ensure that their labels are up to date with changes in safety and efficacy data. And to do this, they need to have a holistic view of their product and be able to compare the labels in real time. And only this can be, they ensure that the labels are updated with the most recent safety and efficacy development, and artworks are updated with the changes to the product's information, and the regional labels are in harmony with one another. Okay. So the content management automation is required, as I say, the technology automation can transfer label content management and the label operations, enabling pharma labeling teams to enhance their productivity and efficiency. So you can see the content management automation happens with label quality control automation, smart regulatory intelligence automation for global and country specific requirement. So company core data sheet, that is CCDS creation and upgrade through automation, end-to-end labeling automation, example CCDS create and update summary of product. So SMPC you must have heard, that is summary of product characteristic. Then the United States prescribing, that is USPI, that is called USPI, create and update. Then the local label creation from CCDS automation, local label lifecycle management and transmission, label tracking for compliance through automation. So all these talk about the content harmonization. Okay. Then the global labeling automation, how it happens, parallel comparison of labels, compliance checks for label deviations, set rules or controls for the alerts or deviation, digitization of labeling leaflet. QR code is become popular and mandatory. Even in India, it's become mandatory now. Right? So adoption of label automation technique provides many benefits, like reduces process complexities, lower personal dependencies, and cost savings. So in this way, we have completed India and US. Now we move towards Europe. How European, that is European Medicines Agency, EMA, is controlling this labeling requirement. So as you know, EMA is decentralized agency of European Union, EU. in charge of scientific evaluation, regulation, and quality control of medicine in Europe. Okay. So before approving medicinal product for distribution in European member state, along with Norway, Liechtenstein, and Iceland, that is those three countries, no, along with plus 27 plus, the EMA makes sure that they meet safety, efficiency, and the quality standards. Correct? So, in relation to the labeling and the packaging of medicine product, there are certain requirements to be made before the EMA can finish its scientific evaluation. Right? And you must have seen module 1 is different than module 1 in US and Europe, correct? So there is a little bit of difference. So if the standards are not met, the product will not be distributed in the EU and can cause delay in your product reaching to patients. So we'll discuss about general design consideration during labeling regulation, in Europe. So minimum font size used is 7 points. And critical item necessary to be listed for safe use of medicine and same field of view. Okay. Then the name of medicine, the full name of the medicine has to be displayed with its strength, pharmaceutical form. Okay. And wherever appropriate, intended for babies, children, or adult. Then the strength and the total content, route of administration, whether it is oral, parenteral, or whatever. Then make use of space to ensure essential information is clearly mentioned in sufficient type size or prime spaces. Then logos and pictograms may be used wherever space permits on the packaging, provided they do not interfere with the legibility of the mandatory information. Okay. So these are all general consideration of a label. More or less, it is similar to what we discussed so far in US and India. And here, the multilingual, one thing you have to keep into account that whenever there is a space permit, there should be a clear demarcation between languages where multilingual packing is proposed. Because Europe is such a country, there multiple languages are used. Okay. So if you go to France, Germany, the German language, French language, English language, there are multiple language used because there are 27 plus 3 countries, correct? And they follow all national, regional specific guidance and the rules. So local language is preferred, when we are marketing the product in Europe. All outer packaging must include space for the prescribed dose to be indicated or blue box information as required by the member state. So for blister pack, often it will not possible to apply all the information over each blister pocket, but information should frequently appear across the pack. So acceptable batch number, expiry date to the end of the blister strip. We have seen, right, one blister strip. Then the name of the product followed by its strength should be put in braille on the outer packaging, that is carton. Then the country specific information into blue box. So certain member state may require additional information to be contained on the label, and this includes pricing, reimbursement, legal status of supply, authenticating characteristics, etc. And this information is in a single box area, which is commonly referred to as blue box. So the blue box is presented in the official language of the member state and highlight country specific information, okay, required by that local competent authority. So an example of country specific information being contained on a pack is the Bolino, Italy. You must have seen the Italian like Bolino label that is added to product in Italy, okay, as an anti-counterfeiting safeguard. So to avoid the counterfeiting of drug, in Italy, there is a, the Bolino type of label attached. I will show you how does it looks like Bolino. Okay. So the Italian security label for the pharmaceutical products, Bolino, is a 2-layer paper label. Okay. So the lower layer shows the unique serial number, UID, and it will remain attached to the pack of the entire period of validity of the pharmaceutical product. And in case of attempts of removal, it acts as an anti-tampering device. Okay. And the upper layer shows the AIC code, okay, the authorized identification code in both clear and code 39 barcode form. The company that holds the AIC in the Italian regulation system, the name of the medicine with the pharmaceutical form, dosage indication, and the number of dosage units. So the unique serial number, that is UID, in both clear and barcode form. So you will see this, double, the security printing technique. Can you see this Bolino label? Say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is a typical requirement of country specific. Okay, the Italian. You can see this. The down label looks like this, and the upper label like this. This is called Bolino. So you can see AIC, UID, and NS, IS. AIC means what? They have given, the medicine marketing authorization code issued by AIFA, that is Italian national authorities. UID is unique serial number, unique identification number. And NCIS means National Traceability System. So track and trace serialization, as I said, it has become mandatory now. Okay. So this kind of labeling requirement you should learn, in Europe, like 27 plus 3 countries, there are different requirements. Okay. Then there is a corporate trade dress where the company logos and pictogram may be presented where space permits. Okay. So on the outer packaging and or immediate packaging, provided they do not interfere with legibility of the mandatory information. Then the choice of color in product design must not introduce the risk of confusion. Assess trade dress to determine the risk for medication error. Pictogram and other graphics to aid comprehension are permitted, but exclude any element of promotional nature. Okay, the logo, format, layout, style, color schemes, and if possible, the pack dimensions should be identical for all versions of packs. So this we have discussed. So suppose when there are 2 or more products from the same manufacturer in the same therapeutic area, okay, which have a similar company trade dress, present the possibility of mix-up between the medicinal product. Okay, so methods can be used to emphasize other key data elements on the outer packaging and on the medicinal product itself to prevent the mix-up. Okay, so we have to highlight the different strains by use of increased font size and a warning color such as red. So use of a hatching effect to differentiate one similar product from other. So in case of, multiple product belongs to one manufacturer, okay, same manufacturer and same therapeutic area, say for example, antihistaminic or anti-diabetic, but they have similar product from similar, manufacturer, 2 or more. In that case, hatching effect they can use to differentiate one product over the other. Okay. Then the strength statement, different strength of same medicinal product should be expressed in the same manner. For example, 250 mg, 500 mg, 750, 1000. Okay. But 1000 is not one, okay, 1 milli. So like that, the trailing zeros should not appear in case of 2.5 mg and not 2.50 mg. Okay. So the use of decimal point or the comma should be avoided where this can be removed. Like 250 mg is acceptable, whereas 0.25 gram is not. So it is important that micrograms are spelled out in full and not abbreviated. Okay. So microgram, when you want to write, some people write it as mcg. Some people use the symbol. Symbol is not at all advisable. Okay. You cannot add the symbol. It has to be abbreviated, spelled out or abbreviated. And where this poses a practical problem which cannot be solved by using a smaller type of size, then abbreviated forms may be used. There are no safety concerns. Strain statement should be in same field of view and immediately following the name of the medicine. Then the secondary content statement, the particulars appearing on the label, all medicine products should be printed in at least 7-point font. Okay, and space between lines for at least 3 millimeter. And make best use of space available to ensure that the essential information is clearly mentioned on prime spaces on the outer and immediate packaging, presented in a sufficiently large. Then the company logos and pictograms may be presented, provided they do not interfere with the legibility of the mandatory information. Okay. Consideration should be given to the line spacing and the use of white space to enhance the legibility of the information provided. And when there is a multilingual outer or the immediate packaging is proposed, there should be a clear demarcation between different languages where space. Okay. Use of color. So color is one way of making heading or other essential information clearly recognizable. Correct? So dark text should be printed on a light background. It is but natural, right? So, but there may be occasion when reverse type could be considered to highlight for warning. And colors should be chosen to ensure a good contrast between the text and the background to assure maximum legibility and accessibility of the information. Then highly glossy, metallic or reflective packaging should be avoided. Correct? Highly glossy, metallic or reflective packaging should be avoided. Why? Because as this affects the legibility of the information. Assorted colors in the name of the product are discouraged, since they may negatively impact on the correct identification of the product name. And use of different colors to distinguish different strains is strongly recommended. Okay, you can use different color only to specify different strains, 5, 10, 20, 80. And the number of colors used on packs will need careful consideration, as too many colors could confuse. And where the color is used on the outer pack, it is recommended that it is carried out primary packaging to aid identification of the medicine. And for blister pack presentation, legibility of the text on the foil is already impaired. So color of the text should be chosen carefully. Leaflet. Okay. So in the leaflet text, you can go up to minimum 9-point font, not narrated, with a space between lines of at least 3 mm. Use different text sizes, correct? And use larger type size when the medicinal product is especially intended for visual impairment. And the widespread use of capitals should not be used. However, capitals may be useful for the emphasis. And do not use italics and underlining. Italics may be considered when using Latin terms. Justified text should not be used. The margin between the columns should be large enough to adequately separate the text. Formatting. How do you format the labels? So the background images should not be placed behind the text, since they may interfere with the clarity of the information. And if space is limited, a vertical line to separate the text may be used. The space between lines should be at least 1.5 times the space between word on a line. And the related information should be kept together from one column to the next. A landscape layout is preferred because it can be helpful to patient. Okay. And bold typeface or the different color for the heading may help make this information stand out. You can read it later on. Okay, I am going to share this presentation. Okay, so how the label can be made, formatted, what kind of text, font size, the header, heading, the column heading, everything to be used, how many lines, language. So far, now till now, you must have understood, like, use simple word for few syllables. Long sentences should not be used. Use bullet points instead of long paragraphs. And when writing, an active style should be used instead of passive. When telling patient what action to take, reasons should be provided, right? Use your medicine, this medicine, etc., rather than repeating the name of the product. So symbols and pictograms should only be used to aid navigation, clarify, or highlight certain aspects of text and should not replace the actual text. Okay, use simple words. And with 24 official language designated in the Europe, often companies have multilingual packaging. Okay, this point is very important. And these are the best practices to sustain your labeling compliance. Standardized labeling procedure. Okay, because your labeling process is very important, and it make it easier to align with current regulation. By creating a standardized labeling process, your company will reduce the burden of keeping track of so many templates. In return, your process will be checking off the regulatory standards of keeping information accurate for the manufacturer. Then link to source data, correct? So link the labeling procedure to the source data, so you may limit inaccuracies. And with a cloud system, your company will be able to manage and update regulatory data of products in less time. Streamline labeling, right? Streamline workflow using automation tool to improve traceability every step of the way, and engaging members responsible for the layers of processes within the standardized labeling procedure. So nowadays, see, everywhere I have seen with the advanced technology, people are going forward with the automated labeling, serialization, barcoding, and everything is possible because of cloud-based environment. All the data is placed at one place, and you can fetch the data from any site. Suppose if a company like Novartis or Pfizer or Cipla or Sun Pharma, they exist at 140 or 160 countries, then in that case, there is a centralized location, the cloud base, from where the data you can fetch whatever in the required format and make the label. And it helps you to prepare for the audit also, the centralized data. So centralizing data under a singular system will limit mishandling of data, especially when entering into new markets, because already you have explored so many markets. So whenever you want to enter into new market, the data is existing, right? So depending on the market of commerce, your product's label will require update prior to manufacturing, such as proper language translation. So the automated labeling system, which reduces IT cost and challenges, intuitive user-friendly design, reduce label errors, standardization and centralization, global change management, simplified compliance, and scalability. These are the advantage of automated labeling system. So same thing I have explained for the each term, how it reduces the IT cost, what are the challenges when we face, and how we can save the unnecessary cost, during version control, secure database, labeling templates, integrated data, centralized data, custom serialization, how it becomes intuitive, user friendly, when we expand into different market. So it becomes easier for the training, simple navigation based on Windows interface, drag and drop features, correct, for the quick changes. Compatibility with multiple printer makes the models. Quickly link data to Oracle database, SAP system. Efficient labeling design that can leverage content from numerous sources. And manages DSCA and FMD compliance, right? Reduce label errors. So you can read this slide, yeah, how it reduces opportunity for error, correct? Additionally, if labeling regulations are violated, it can trigger a long process of recalling, right, products, reprinting and relabeling that can cost organization millions of dollars to rectify. So, so automated labeling system helps to reduce label errors, correct? So global supply chains rely on labeling accuracy to make sure the right products are getting to the right people with the right information. And if that supply chain breaks down due to poor labeling, all stakeholders can be affected. Correct? And to avoid costly errors that can affect everything from printing to shipping, an enterprise labeling solution should offer the following features. Manage, secure, and control data across printing locations. Proper integration with your existing Oracle system, SAP system, or ERP or WMS. And labeling that meets global serialization requirements and complies with relevant international and industry regulation. Complete audit trails for compliance and transparency. The standardization and centralization. A lack of standardization and centralization can create several problems during the labeling process, but with centralization, labeling system can ensure consistent, accurate data is coming from sources of truth before the printing occurs, right? So with this proper data management, label changes can be made in a matter of seconds. Product can be quickly produced, meet compliance, ship on time, and an entire supply chain can be streamlined. Okay, so there is huge advantages for going automated labeling system, and you can manage the changes globally, correct? Because nowadays, every company would like to enter into several markets to earn revenues, correct? And due to this evolving nature of labeling regulation and the product information, because lots of changes happens, no, once you market the product, you have to take care of all adverse event, adverse reactions happening to the patient, and so many countries, right? So along with this worldwide regulation, and wherever you are launching your product, you have to keep track of this product consumed by different people residing in different countries, right? So that is why this barcoding system, QR code, and all this automated labeling system helps a lot. Okay. Many big companies go for the SAP, Oracle, and all those WMS systems. And these are the references from where we have collected the information. Thank you for your kind attention. And now we open for the question and answer session. Thank you once again.